Welcome back, and thanks to the Purple Sharpie for yet another fantastic dev interview. Now, I'm going to admit, I've found it really hard to get things done this year. Especially when it comes to games, I can find it really difficult to feel like I should be putting my time into these creations when there are so many other things out in the world, many tragedies to try and reach out and fix. Hopefully, some of the talks that you've seen over the last few days have convinced you of the importance of dialing into your creative practice and bringing your works to life. Then the question is, how? How do you find the energy, the motivation, when you're surrounded and covered in fear? What do you do? Our next speaker brings a range of productive advice for how to create from within fear. And much of this advice, as suggested in other talks, leans on knowledge that is actually from outside the game space. Our culture, our heritage, we often have resilience built within us. So here with some tips on how to bring that forward, please welcome to the stage a story weaver, Bloom's Eye.
Hey y'all, my name is Bloom's Eye, and this is my macro talk, Creating Within Fear, the artist's role through times of uncertainty, grief, and calls to action. Again, Bloom's Eye is my name. I am a story weaver who ties creative threads together, whether that is game dev, pixart, crochet, or clay designs. I'm always, if I can imagine it, I can probably create it or figure it out. I'm pretty much Bloom's Eye all over social media. You have my links, my QR code, my pronouns are they, them, and my blue sky, all the good stuff. And let's just get right in. In times of dread, artists must never choose to remain silent. This is a quote by the great Toni Morrison in her article, No Place for Self-Pity, No Room for Fear, that she wrote in reflection of an election season where she just felt terrible after the results. She felt despair, she felt fear, she felt anxiety, she felt like how could she create art in times like this? Sound familiar? She told this to a friend, and her friend said, No. This is precisely the time where artists go to work. Not when everything is fine, but in times of dread. That's our job. As people, we see things, we experience things, and as artists, we reflect that in our art. We create to speak our todays and remember our histories, from cave paintings on a wall to poems written on a disposable napkin. We as humans have a desire to memorize ourselves and through our works of creation. So, and also oral, physical, mental, emotionally. As humans, we create things and we pass that creation on for others to see and experience. So what can you do when art no longer feels like it's enough? Don't stop making art, but do art with something else. And passing the water bottle. Because sometimes the art is like, okay, I have to do more than making a pretty picture, a nice game. What can I do? Before we go further, growth in yourself takes time. I didn't get involved in my community until 3 years after I moved to my new city. That's just because I wasn't ready. I wasn't in the good mental place, emotional, nothing was good. It was until things changed I was ready. And here are six. So for you, here are 6 things that I hope to inspire growth and change in you, and for you to affect your community, even if your community is just a group of people. So 1, think smaller and local, because what happens to you locally will affect how you show up on a larger scale. So for example, attend local events, support youth initiatives, ask your friends what they do in their community, look at your local organizations, and consider your time and energy. What can you do less of, or what can you do more of? Our time, time is shifting and moving. It doesn't stop. So sometimes you'll be in one space at a certain time to give more to maybe your local community. Other times you're in a smaller space of time, you're giving less. That is okay. You're not doing this alone. There are other people who will take the mantle and to keep going. 1.2. Think smaller and local again. Ask your friends for independent news sources. Sign up for library news. Support your local libraries. Read up on local policies, attend hearings, or read the notes. It's very easy to get sucked into and just stay on social media to get your news information because that's where a lot of us get it, including myself. But I have learned to leave social media to read more about my local news, to read more about what's happening to me locally, because again, that affects how you show up globally. And remember, your local politicians aren't necessarily posting on social media or TikTok. If they are, can't say much to that. But last of this point is get physically or virtually involved on a regular basis. That can be once a week, one hour a day, once a month, once bi-weekly. Like, just find somewhere where you can see yourself consistently. And again, that can change from time to time. These are all very flowing. Point 2. Change the reason behind your art. Let's say you do art markets. You can donate a portion of your sales to support a cause or a family. Medium. If you're doing digital art, maybe switch to physical, something physical like painting, clay, Play-Doh even, just to convey a message you want to say or just for your own fun. Support. I see people in my city, in my community, donate their graphic art talents to a local organization. Create. Make something small that speaks what you care about. As artists, as creators, we make these big projects, but I want you to maybe do something smaller that still says the message you want to say. Here's some non-game dev art I've made. Pixar animation about Sudan, clay eyeglass charms about trans rights and trans kids and adults, mixed medium piece about COVID and wearing face masks, and my crochet tapestry to just talk about the press in Gaza and Palestine. Number 3, learn. This involves intentional research and curiosity of truth and justice. Sit your butt down and learn whatever you care about. Get to know your local history, because many times your local history will affect and tie into global ones. Talk to your elders. I know, it can be awkward, it can be uncomfortable, but I encourage you that there are elders, and from elders of like 30 years old to 50 to 60 to like mine, 90 and almost 100. They have so many stories to tell us if we just sit and listen. Even if we don't like what they're saying, they're still saying something. Read a book in zines. Read a book, always amazing. Even if you're kind of iffy about reading, I encourage you to try and get back into it. Or read your favorite kids' books or kids' books that explain the issues you're curious about or you're getting into. And zines are many snapshots of other people's written works and creations, so I encourage you to check those out also. Listen to educational podcasts about educational audios and podcasts about topics you're curious about. I listen to anything from writing, game dev, story crafting, crochet, fashion, sewing. Many things in different parts of your curiosity can inspire your creativity. Because you be on that darn phone. So, our adults were right. Our parents were right. The phone is the issue, or rather, part of the issue, of course. So, if you want to get off your phone more, here's some tips. Subscribe to newsletters from accounts you follow, whether that is small writers or news sources. Try to get them in your email inbox or just away from social media, or get yourself away from reading the news on social media as much. Print out online articles like I've been doing. I mark them up. I write notes in the margins. I do thoughts because I want to be able to like digest what I'm reading and not just skimming over it. Tune into your local non-mainstream radio station. This can be anything from a college radio station to a community center like mine is. Try to practice being more involved and more aware of your community happenings. Practice setting limits on your device. So for example, no social media until 10 a.m., after your first meal, use the restroom. Try to like center yourself as a person before you start scrolling to that phone. It's a habit I'm trying to break myself, but I'm getting there. Only access social media through your desktop, not your phone. So for me, for like some of my social media apps, I'll use the desktop version only or mostly because I'll be like, wait, I've been sitting down too much. Then I close the laptop and walk away. So practice walking away from your stuff, throwing your phone away to get better at being plugged out and plugged into something else that matters. 5. Work on your own biases and prejudices, if I'm saying that word right. No matter what you stand for or what you care about or what group you're part of, you can still cause harm. And in a society of shame, which is most cultures, I think, honestly, or like just a lot of people have shame in their lives from growing up and from making mistakes. hurting people is something we unfortunately do, and we have to continue to work through that. So your art, for example, can say things you don't mean, things you didn't realize, and things you meant to say but said it wrong. Like, there's so many parts of us as a human experience, like no matter how self-aware you are, what group you fall under, what learning you've done, like how aware you are of something, is a constant practice to humanize those, including yourself, who have been dehumanized in systematic, subtle, and casual ways. If you spent a lifetime being talked down to or dehumanized in some way, it may take a lifetime to unlearn that stuff, and it's a constant muscle practice. 6. Do it scared, but not alone. You may start out by yourself, but you don't have to stay that way. Above all else, get off your butt. That's the bullet point. To be like to have something poured into you, it also helps to pour into others, whether that is with your friends. I teach my friends how to sew, or my family how to sew, or it is with a more larger community. You have to either physically or mentally or emotionally start moving and grooving. Nothing happens when you do nothing, so you have to do something. You will find others who help you along the way. And people who find you at different times will be there at short and long periods of your life. It can be very difficult to understand what people mean to us in our lives and how we mean to each other, but just know that we're not doing any of this alone. You may start out alone, but you don't have to stay that way. It just takes time and action and being really awkward. Super awkward. Like, honestly, I can tell you stories of how awkward I am at events, but it's worth it. So this last quote was from my late grandmother when my father asked her how she like pretty much just survived day by day during like the civil rights movement and just horrible times as a black person in America, as a black woman in America, in the South of America. And my dad was like, how did you just keep going? Like, what was your motivation? My grandmother told my father, there will always be men, referring to people in power, like that, but we'll always still be here too. That's what keeps me going. The fact that I'm still here because my grandparents were here, my parents were here, shows that no matter what happens in our politics, societies, cultures, jobs, people will remain because we are here. We have been here. We're not going anywhere. I'm too spiteful, honestly. I'm not going nowhere. And I hope you stay here also. So, last thing, to one person or many, your impact matters no matter how small. Continue to grow and discover how your creativity can encourage collective change for you and your community. We protect and we care for each other. My name is Bloomseye, and thank you for listening. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Thank you for that talk, Bloomseye. I'll admit, the fear gets me more often than I would like. I mean, hell, just making this conference. It's a kind of wild time on the internet, kind of wild time in the world. But we also see the impact of creating amidst that fear. We get to see the ways that we bring hope and inspiration to others, the ways that we get to keep shining the light of what's right. And there is something really powerful. There'll always be people in power like them. There'll always be us too. Yeah, thank you for that talk. If you'd like to follow Bloomseye, you can find them on Tumblr, Pillowfort, Instagram, or Blue Sky at Bloomseye with a Z instead of an S.